From giving her a lavish home inside the Zabeel Palace to imprisonment, no one truly knows how Sheikh Mohammed treats those who betray him. The new shocking secrets revealed insides in the mind of Sheikh Mohammed and how his daughter almost didn't make it after daring to defy her father. Who is Princess Latifa? Born to the royal Al Maktoum family in 1985, the mother of Sheikha Latifa was one of the most spectacular women the Sheikh has ever married. Her name is Julia Lamara, and she hails from the African country of Algeria, another dominant Arab country with ties that run deep into the Middle East. Julia bore the Sheikh 4 children, with most of them ending up inside the palace. One of these women was to be Sheikha Latifa, who never had the fortune of experiencing motherly love. In fact, Sheikha Latifa and her brother were taken away from their mother as babies, being presented to the childless sister of Sheikh Mohammed. Here they would grow up inside their aunt's palace, where many would tell horrifying stories of how they were treated. In fact, it is said that there were dozens of other children also living inside the palace, and the authoritarian rule of her aunt was something many described as being cruel and heartless at times. It was during her upbringing inside this palace that Latifa grew hateful and wanted to escape the royal palace. She would rarely be fortunate enough to see her mother, and her father was always occupied with his goals and changing the landscape of Dubai. This would mean that Latifa was essentially parentless and would never come to know the love a parent should have for their children. Much like Latifa, Sheikha Shamsa, the cousin of Latifa, also had to endure growing up inside this horrific palace. In fact, the personality of the older Shamsa was something that Latifa had truly admired, and she often described her as an adventurous thrill seeker. This would not be all, as Latifa would latch onto Shamsa as a way of creating some form of a motherly figure in her life. But Shamsa herself would often be in trouble due to her rebellious nature, and Sheikha Latifa would come to admire this about her cousin. The stroke that broke the camel's back came when Sheikh Mohammed forbade Shamsa to go to school and study. This would put Shamsa over the edge, and she despised everything about being part of the royal family. Shamsa eventually attempted an escape, and this would end horribly for the daughter of the most powerful man in the Arab world. Upon her return, the Sheikh treated her as a disobedient daughter, where she would find herself being forcibly locked up and often even tranquilized by the many bodyguards. Shamsa inspiring Latifa. The sad thing about all this is that Sheikha Shamsa had to bear witness to this treatment of her sister, which eventually broke her will to live, and she stopped being herself. In fact, many reports suggest that Sheikha Shamsa had even contemplated taking her own life due to the harsh punishment that she had to endure. This was done as a way of sending a message to many of the other children the Sheikh had. If you don't obey me, you will suffer and be punished. The more Sheikha Latifa learned what exactly happened to the woman she had so fondly admired, the more disillusioned she grew with the palace and the royal family. She would eventually realize that staying inside this palace was a death trap, and she needed to escape if she ever wanted to have freedom and pursue the things she loved. Through months of active planning and even making sure she had enough money to get away from the Sheikh, Latifa began planning her escape. Whilst no one truly knows what her final destination would have been, many believe it could possibly have been England, where many women have often tried to escape. The initial escape attempt never went as planned, and Sheikha Latifa found herself stopped at the Omani border, where she was whisked back to Dubai and found herself imprisoned. It is here where the most horrific secrets of the Sheikh began to unravel. Imprisonment of Sheikha Latifa. No one defies the Sheikh. That was the order and message that was being sent. And whilst many understood this, some still tried to make their escapes. However, this time Sheikh Mohammed had to make a true example of those who would go against his wishes. Upon a return to the UAE capital, Latifa was imprisoned for 3 years and 4 months. It was during this time that she was kept alone in solitary confinement and only allowed to sleep on a thin mattress. In fact, the sheik went as far as making her wear the same clothes she had worn during her escape, without giving her access to basic needs like soap or even a toothbrush. The young woman would often write as a way of passing time and allowing her mind to just be set free. In one of her many writings, she would say that she had been treated worse than any animal was treated, giving some insight into the horrific situation she had to endure. Many even speculate that more horrific things were done to the sheikah, but no one could truly give evidence for this, and the word of the sheikah herself through her writings is the only way to slightly comprehend the situation she found herself in. Life after prison. She would eventually find herself being set free, and she was returned to the home of her mother. She had to continue her former life, but due to what she had endured, escaping was one thing she felt she still needed to do. However, this time, she had planned to be far more cunning and make it much harder for the sheik and his guards to find or track her. Sheikha Latifa would indulge in extreme sports, even taking up swimming to ensure that she could be stronger this time. She contacted an assistant who would help her with falsified documents, which she would need to cross the border. Eventually, the time came and Latifa attempted her second escape, where she would make her way to India, passing through Sri Lanka and head for the airport. At the airport, she would use her fake passport to fly to the United States, where she had hoped she would find refuge. However, thanks to what many believed was the Israeli Pegasus spyware, the sheik managed to track his daughter in the middle of the Arabian Sea. A group of Indian commandos stormed the boat, where Latifa and one of her friends would be found. Once again, she was in the hand of a now even angrier Sheikh Mohammed, but the public was on her side. The public fallout. Upon her return to Dubai, the story broke of how she had been treated. Even a self-recorded video started doing the rounds, and many of the locals began demanding her release from prison. She would once again be put in prison, this time in the middle of the desert, and she didn't have any contact with the outside world. However, public pressure forced the sheik and his followers to release a well-crafted video suggesting how she was being treated and that nothing was wrong with her. Nowadays, the sheikah seems to have been set free, and in one of her latest social media posts, she can be seen in Austria. She thanked everyone who has been supporting her through these years, and it is believed that she has moved into her own villa. According to the royals, she has now been set free and can travel the world as she pleases. These claims have been confirmed, and it does seem that her life has now turned somewhat carefree, and she now has the power to do as she pleases. Many also believe she still receives $270,000 each month from the sheik for her out-of-pocket expenses. But no one can deny that the sheik is still trying to control the lives and the fate of the women in his life. Many have escaped and, or at least tried, only to find themselves walking the same line as Princess Haya, who would make a daring escape to England and win a custody battle with the sheik. Sheikha Latifa seems to be doing well, and now she is on the road to pursuing her dreams, with the sheik trying to change the landscape of Dubai by empowering modern women and changing the status of women inside the Arab nation. The story of Sheikha Latifa might have been the catalyst to improve the lives of women in the Arab kingdom, but no one truly knows what lurks inside the palace doors. Make sure to check out our video on the one woman who did manage a successful escape next.